Hello, welcome back to Dead Rising. Oh yeah, you can hear the SWAT officers now. Uh, Last time, I think I was talking about some controversial stuff, such as, is murder justified? And how much experience do I get from these? Quite a bit. Alright, this is good. We will head up to the North Plaza then. So, yeah, because last time we were talking about, okay, so is murdering the murderers justified? So I think the short answer that I think that most people will agree with would be it depends on the situation. However, you might say, well, if we murder the murderers, that makes us no better than... Oh my goodness. Makes us no better than them. I'm trying to kill as many special forces as possible because they got the most experience. Like 5,000 PP per kill? Yes, please, sign me up. So I think that's basically the crux of the argument. And now let's go back to Carlito. Was Carlito justified in what he was doing? Personally, I would say no. You know, dropping a bunch of, zombies on, excuse me, sorry, my throat was like... Alright, sorry, we're back. We're back, baby. So the case what Carlito did, I don't think that... For me, two wrongs don't make a right. So if someone wrongs you, personally, I don't think it's, you're justifying going out and trying to, wrong them back. Like, I think that just makes the situation worse, right? So, the case of... yeah, let's get some more of these guys. I'm out here trying to hit level 36. And, man, we get a lot of experience off of them. In the case of, like, Carlito, so, for example, it's like, oh, I've been wronged by the government, so I'm going to go and, like, get vengeance on them. I'm hesitant to do that, because I think, like, that'll always, like, escalate, make the situation worse. I shouldn't say always, though. I think more often than not. So, for example, hypothetically speaking, if Carlito, like, okay, so it's like, okay, Carlito's the terrorist who did this, then, there could exist a possibility where it would be like, oh, hey, this guy did this, so we're going to target his hometown. And when I say target, like, I just mean, like, something bad could happen, right? Needless to say that he's like, okay, well, the people from Santa Cabeza, they're the ones to blame for this. Like, then it's like, okay, then, like, people are angry against those kinds of people, right? Like, yes, like, he's angry against the American, like, government, and, like, sure, like, they, quote-unquote, acted first. Oh, Marathon Runner Chief. Interesting. But just because they acted first, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to retaliate against them. Like, so, I think it's like in school they say, like, oh, like, you got pushed by a kid. You don't push him back. But then then that opens up like, it can open up other problems too, because it's like, oh yeah, so if you get pushed, you don't push, them back. It's like, well, what about, like, when you have to stand up for yourself, right? Because I think the people would also say too, is like, hey, well, no, if you're being, like, bullied, and I want to say first of all, like, I'm greatly simplifying this. Like, I don't think it's actually like this black and white. So it's, if you hear me talk, don't say, oh yeah, that's it's very straightforward, blah blah blah. No, it's not. Like, we're talking about, like, I would say some very ambiguous situations here. So yeah, if you're getting, bullied, it's like, there'd be the argument. I guess what you say is the arguments for saying, hey, like, don't hit the back. But I think there's also the argument for saying, no, you gotta stand up for yourself. And sometimes that means, like, by standing up for yourself means if they push you, you push them back, kind of thing, right? So, like, and that's the thing. And then you can apply the Carlito situation. It's like, okay, well, it says he got quote-unquote bullied, and he's, like, pushed in the back. And that's why I think, overall it depends on a case-by-case basis. In this particular instance, I don't think it's... See, I don't think that's the correct thing to do, because, like, for what happens with Carlito is, like, a lot of people who weren't actually involved, they suffer for your actions as well. Yeah, I'm gonna eat some apples just so I don't die immediately. And then we're gonna grab some milk. Unless there's more of these guys. Yes, we might have to level off of them actually. So like in Carlito's case, like his real target I think would be the government, and so, and more specifically, I think he'd want to target the people who were directly responsible. Now, say if he screwed over those people, let's say like he just killed them or whatever. What do we get? I think we got speed. Nope. Oh, neck twist. Okay. Not really what we're interested in. So in Carlito's case, like what happens is like, so if he were just to kill like the government officials that like you who did this, like people who were directly involved, then I might be like, oh, okay, I can kind of see that, right? Because that way, and like this goes back to the whole MERS thing, because the people who were in charge of the like the operations in Santa Cabeza, they're the ones who like they're the ones who did the experiments or whatever. So it's like, oh, should we imprison them for their crimes, or should we kill them so they don't, like, that kind of stuff doesn't happen again? Because I think we'll just say for the sake of the argument that zombies are bad, and having people turn into zombies is also bad. Like, that's just an undesirable case. So if he could, like, target just for those people, it's like, well, is that okay? And I think that kind of also goes towards, like, the whole idea of vigilantes. And, you know, some people might be okay with them because, like, you know, oh, like, they get stuff done. Whereas others might say, well, no, they act outside the law and we can't trust them. And that's the thing, like, vigilantes act on their own moral code. And whether or not you necessarily agree with that moral code is, you know, really depends. Like, sometimes, like, so for example, like Batman, like, some people like say, oh yeah, Batman's the greatest thing that's ever happened to us. Other times it might be like, well, no, Batman's a thug, like, we don't want him around. And, like, again, so, going back to, like, you know, let's say for, like, Carlito... Where is this guy? Hello. See we... Oh, they follow me. Interesting. If, you know, Carlito targeted just those people, like, just, like, those directly responsible, like, I might be like, nah, yeah, sure, okay, I'm okay with that. Whereas other people's like, well, no, he shouldn't have done them anyways. Like, he should have sought, like, government intervention or like whatever, like just got the story out, and that becomes a great case. But then let's go back to like say, okay, what did he actually do? He's like, well, he unleashed the zombie plague onto, I mean, thousands of unsuspecting people. I mean, where are these guys coming from? I guess I'm just making a lot of noise. I'm trying to break the chainsaw before I grab another one. Okay, let's go down here. Walk into here. Come on. He knows. Alright, we're getting a lot of experience. We should try and get some more food, though. So the case of like Carlito's like, okay, he unleashed the zombie plague, and he might have gotten those directly responsible. But you'd say, I could also argue too that he killed a lot of people who had nothing to do with it. And I think that's bad, man. Like, me personally, I think most people agree, is like, yeah, he shouldn't have gotten this many people involved. Like, sure, it might have been the American government who, you know, unleashed this onto his people, but I don't think you could say that it was the, like, it was the American government, so it's like, okay, so it was Americans who did that, but say it was, like, these particular Americans, not necessarily, like, these are just, like, consumers, like, a lot of these people probably had no idea what was going on. And, like, him, like, calling Dr. Barnaby here is like, okay, well, assuming that Barnaby was directly responsible, you know, is that okay to get him? And then again, like, you know, did Barnaby get what was coming to him? I would say yes. And, you know, does that make all these actions against Barnaby justified? I mean, I don't think, whether that's justified, I'm avoiding taking an active stance here because I don't want to, like, sound like a jerk, which, I mean, might be too late for that. So I don't want to, you know, have hardline stance. That being said, I'd be more like, well, I'd certainly be less bothered by it, but then, you know, some of the other things happen, like, you know, other round civilians getting caught up in this, like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, I don't really like that. So, and, like, in that case, like, yeah, I don't necessarily agree with Carly's actions because a lot of infants got involved. That being said, you could also spin it from the other angle that, okay, so because, like, this many other people got involved, hopefully what could happen is that the government would be like, okay, well, if there's, like, the real threat of zombie terrorism going around, like, Uh, to simplify the argument, is like they'd be like, okay, we have to really clean up our act because I mean we can't afford to have this happening. And so on a disaster on this scale of magnitude, or a disaster on the magnitude of this scale, you know, the government might be like, okay, no, we gotta like cease our government or zombie activities because this could happen. Like it happened to Santa Cabeza, it happened to Willamette, and we can't afford to have that happen again. And an analogy I think would be like, think of World War II when the Americans dropped the atomic bombs on Japan. Apologies, I forget the names of the cities right now. But when they dropped the atomic bombs, it's like, and that's the thing, like, were they justified in dropping the atomic bombs? On one hand, like, to my earlier argument, yeah, like a lot of innocents who weren't directly involved in the war, they suffered for it because, well, like now they're just dead. But on the other hand, it also ended the war too. But it's like, but then what happens if they didn't drop the atomic bomb? And that's where like it becomes hard to figure out what happens because like we have no way of knowing. We can only speculate what happens, and like we just don't know for certainty. Wait, we already have that many chainsaws? Interesting. Okay, I guess we're gonna try and find a blender then. We'll be back. And that's the thing, like we don't know because what could have happened is that let's suppose that the U.S. didn't drop the atomic bombs and that they just like were just like, okay, we'll just like let them go on for a little bit, let the war go on. Like how many more people would have died and like the resource, like it would probably have been a long, drawn out, bloody conflict. And, like, I mean, the war could have lasted 1, 2, 3, maybe 10 years. Like, who knows, right? But by targeting the innocent population, like, they ended the war immediately. And so then that's like, was that worth the cost of, was ending the war worth the cost of, like, 2 very large cities worth of, like, innocent people? And honestly, I don't know if there's a right answer to that question. I think it kind of becomes a matter of opinion. And my friend and I were discussing this, and oh man, maybe I said too much. Like, oh yeah, we were discussing this. Oh my goodness. Oh, we leveled up. Sweet. Oh, we're even faster. So this is great. So these level ups are doing ducky for us. So we're gonna grab the pies. What do we get from double pie? Do we get quick step? We need to get some healing for sure. Untouchable, that's more than alright for me. Grab another pie and put in a orange juice, and we'll be ready to roll out. So then it's like whether or not America was justified in dropping the atomic bomb, or like the actions of Carlito. One stance this takes, like, say, we're never justified in doing that kind of stuff because, and I think this relates to what I'm saying earlier about, or I was saying earlier about murderers murdering murderers. Can we get up here? Yes, we can. What's even up here, anyways? Orange juice, stuffed bear, and a cardboard box. Okay, that's all right. That's not super exciting. Oh, hello. This is what we really wanted. Oh, a submachine gun. Okay. Nifty. I did not know that was there. Whoops. All right. We're out. See you, nerds. So like one argument would be, okay, so we shouldn't do this kind of stuff ever because if we justify it once, we can justify it again, like dropping a atomic bomb or like unleashing zombies. Like, and I think that's why people would say, hey, Carlito's a villain, and like the American government too, who did this in the first place, would say they're the bad guys because, like, you might say, well, unleashing zombies on people or like just like dropping a atomic bomb should not be justified in any circumstance. Like, so you might say, oh yeah, America like dropped the bomb then to war, but then it's like, well, did they really need to drop the bomb? Could they have done like peace treaties or something else, like something else? And I'm not saying it's like, oh yeah, they could have easily gone to for diplomacy. I honestly don't know. I'm not enough of a World War II buff to like really say. Like I don't know too much about World War II. It's just not one of my areas of expertise. But or like it might have been like okay, would have been better if like they would surrender, like America surrendering be better than them dropping the atomic bomb. And it's like, well, then even at that point, you're like, what's the right answer? And I think boys basically boils down to like, it's hard to say because suppose they had surrendered instead of dropping the atomic bombs. Sure, like the fighting would have ended, and hopefully not many people would die. But like, what would that mean? Like, what happens if like say just do part of this surrender terms that America's like quality of life like goes down substantially? Like say let's just say that America just started living in perpetual poverty. Would say, and I'm throwing out random numbers here. I by no means do I think I'm accurate. Let's say that just meant that 500 million people were now living in poverty. Would that be worth the cost of surrendering so that that like billions of other people didn't die? Like let's say the argument 5 million people died between those two cities. I have no idea. Again, I don't know the numbers. So is 500 million people worth the cost of 5 million people dying? And I think for like that question, that'd be like some people would be like, gee, like I don't know, like that's they would say that's a tough question, and that's fair. But then like like I think for, like if people pause are like like 500 million people living in poverty or like 10 million people dying, but then it's like. I think those questions like those, like you don't really know. And the other thing too is even if America did like say surrender to the Japanese, again like you can't really know what's going to happen afterwards. Like you can do your best guesses, and that's how we live life. We use induction to figure out, okay, here's what's happened to me in the past, so I'm going to make educated guesses about what's going to happen in the future. Even though logically speaking, it's puzzling why we have these expectations about the future when it's no logical contradiction that something else may happen that goes against our expectations. So, like, to give an example, like, going back to what I was talking about, if, say, America surrendered to the Japanese, I would expect that the quality of life would probably go down a little bit, or, like, they'd have to give reparations or whatever, but, like, it could have been the case that Japan was like, no, that's fine, we'll just stop the fighting and we'll forget this whole thing ever happened. Even though like we might expect like that wouldn't be the case, but like there's nothing saying no, like it can't happen. And that's what, and that's like the crux of like the whole like should the murderers be, should they be murdered or like put into prison? Because you have no way of knowing what's gonna happen next, and this is the whole thing between Batman and the Joker, because Batman won't kill the Joker because he won't kill people. Like that's end discussion. Eat this melon, small chainsaw, let's go. Like because Batman believes that if he kills a single person, then like he's no better than the criminals. Like that if he kills, like, what's to stop him from killing again? Like, if he's done it once, like, why not do it again? Which I definitely understand the argument behind that. But then, if you look at... so from his argument, it's like, he won't kill the Joker. Because what happens... Let's suppose, like, he kills the Joker. But then after he kills the Joker, like, let's say... So we have two timelines. Timeline 1 is where Batman kills the Joker. And that's it. Joker can't do anything else. Like, no more harm. Nothing else. There's still special forces in here. Batman kills the Joker, and the Joker can do no more harm. Okay, but in Timeline B, it might have been the case where like he doesn't kill the Joker, but then the Joker... Yeah, let's see these. The Joker doesn't kill any more people. Like he reforms. He repents. Does like a bunch of community service or whatever. And like he becomes like a good person. If Batman had killed him, he might kill a potentially in the future a good person. That being said, but he just doesn't know. Like he can't know before he kills the Joker. Like, hey, what's the Joker gonna do in the future? because I think, you know, obviously if he had that knowledge, like, I think his actions would be different. And likewise too, it might be Batman might kill the Joker, and then after he kills him, it's like, well, what stopped me from killing me, like, other people? So, and then like, he just goes off the slippery slope, and like, those guys don't count too, or it's kill count. You know, Batman kills one person, then becomes like a more like tough line or hard-edged vigilante, and eventually, like, you know, the people it kills, it becomes like really like a gray area. Like, you know, it's a killing like he's killing like petty thieves, like guys who steal from like a convenience stores. Like, do those people deserve to die for being stolen? And that's when I think the general consensus would be like, well, no, death for a sentence like for something like that, it's a little bit too is a little bit too harsh. So we can't do that. Where was I going with this? Jeebus, I like lost my train of thought. It just left me. I got so focused on the kill counter, and then I just completely dropped it. Oh yeah, so and okay, so yeah, so he can't really know the future. And so okay, so that's why if Batman like ends up killing, he kills like increasingly like lesser criminals for like their actions or whatever. And it's like, okay, that's probably undesirable, and that's probably what Batman's trying to avoid anyways. Or like I've seen this played around with before, where it's like Batman kills his like the villains, but then he creates a near utopia because the people who like keep like causing harm, like they're all dead now. Like, so the Joker's like, yeah, he's wrong people. And it's like, okay, well, now we've killed him. Like, he can't cause any more harm. There you go, another level up. What do we get? New skill mastered. Face crusher skill. I don't know how we do that. Oh man, jeez, I was going really hard today, and then just, man, my thoughts just left me. Yeah, I think we're killing special forces until the helicopter arrives, so that's why I have to really be on point with my discussion topics, because we're just going around killing people left, right, and center. We're not really doing much. That's why I gotta have an engaging conversation with you guys. Otherwise, you're not gonna want to watch this. If I do like hardline thinking philosophy, where people would be like, "Oh, this is more interesting." Oh yeah, so the argument for Batman, about never killing. I myself, I don't think I'd take that stance. In the case of the Joker, it's like, okay, he's gone out. He's done like 3 separate cases where he's killed people. I think he deserves a death sentence. Even though yes, there is this possibility that he will become a model citizen afterwards if we leave him alone. He's had his chance, so to speak. So excuse me. He's had his chance, so to speak, to be a good person, but he's blown it every single time. So, and we've given him 3 chances. So, that's why we give him the death sentence. But then that's the thing, though, too. In the Joker, I think that's kind of I shouldn't say obviously, because I think some people would still say, no, we shouldn't kill the Joker anyways, because that's what's so important. We gotta show the compassion, because that separates us from them, and that's Batman. Or the line from Batman begins anyways. But it's just okay, let's not consider the Joker. Let's consider the guy who murders the one person. And then that's, for me, that's where the line gets, it gets blurry, because, assuming, this is malicious intent to kill the one guy anyways. What do we get from here? Can we get more quick step? I want more quick step, please. Double yogurt, what do we get? For the one person that kills with malicious intent, and that's the thing, it's well, who did they kill, right? Is this untouchable? Yeah, we'll drink this. If they kill, so for example, and that's where it also gets tough too. So, let's say a Batman was a so before the Batman vigilante example, he was just killing. Let's go to the park actually. See if we can run over some of these special forces. So let's say if he has a vigilante, he killed petty criminals. Oh, there's a helicopter. We're not doing that. See you, nerds. If he kills the petty crooks, you might be like, well, that's a hardline stance. But if Batman, let's say he kills people, and let's say Batman only kills the worst of the worst, he kills the Joker, Two-Face, all these famous Batman villains who are, for lack of a better term, these horrible monsters. What if he kills only them? And it's is that okay? Like, and that's the whole thing. Is like, is it okay to pay evil unto evil? And if you consider like Dungeons and Dragons, also I'm gonna take a side tangent to say like I'm going all over the place. Like I'm hoping you know what Dungeons and Dragons is and Batman is. If you not, I'm gonna sound like a weirdo. I mean, I probably sound like a weirdo anyways. So going back to like like paying evil unto evil, like is that socially acceptable? It's like I mean, and that's like I mean, the discussion like what good and what evil is like that's a whole nother conversation altogether. And I'll hopefully I'll get back to that. So assuming that, let's just say for the sake of the argument, though, we've hammered down like what's good and what's evil. Even though I think that's going to widely vary from person to person. Let's just suppose like we hammer that out and we know what's good and what's evil. Is it okay to pay evil unto evil? And that's the thing too. Like, and I think that's like it's just like it's not black and white because you might say, oh, it's evil, but then it's like I think you'd have varying degrees of evil as well. I want these pies, man. Give them to me. You have these varying degrees of evil. Like, so, for example, I know we keep talking about it, but murder probably is a worse evil than, say, taking candy from a baby. And that's the thing. Some people might say taking candy from a baby isn't really evil. Like, that's just being malicious. But then as malice, the same thing as evil. And I think that's the thing we really got to address, like what's good and what's evil. And that's the thing, like when you start to really hammer out like what's actually good and what's actually evil, like, I think again like it becomes hard to distinguish like what's what because like so for example, like we're gonna get like really like heated here for a second. To take a really controversial topic, let's say abortion. People are way have widely varying views about abortion. Some people say that it's beyond like some people think that abortion's murder. Other people say that abortion is like no, like we should have like like pro-choice or pro-life is basically what it is, and pro-choice is saying the woman gets to decide whether or not to have an abortion, and like that's fair. I'm not gonna get the whole like that big can of worms because I think I think a lot of people are going to get riled up about that, and maybe I shouldn't have said this. Whatever. If the comments just, like, fall apart, then I'll know for next time not to talk about this. But anyways, so, like, it's a controversial subject, but for that, people will say, well, no, this is, clearly evil, or, no, it's fine, right? And maybe I shouldn't use that to be an example, but, sorry, what I should have said is, like, let's consider murdering murderers. Some people say, no, evil's evil, we can't murder regardless. But some people say, no, murdering evil people is acceptable. Maybe not good, but it's not evil. Like, paying evil unto evil isn't inherently a bad thing. And, like, that's the thing, you get wild disagreement. Like, some people would say, like, I think there's things that where people are more, like, likely to, agree on in terms of like being good or evil. So let's just say, for example, donating to charity. I think most people would say that's a good thing, or yeah, I'd say that's. Some people would say that's a good thing or a bad thing. No. I think most people would say that's a good thing to do. But even so, the point I would like to make is that even though many people say, oh, like, they would agree that it is a good thing to do, that doesn't actually mean that's a good thing to do. And you might be like, well, like, what do you mean? Like, it's the general consensus that, like, donating to charity is a good thing to do. It's like, well, yes. However, let's consider back in the earlier days where slavery was legal and, like, people were okay with it. Now, these days, like, we don't like slavery, racism is bad, and all these other things. But back in the day, racism was completely normal. So does that make racism okay to do? I'm just gonna. Oh, there he is. Hello. Happy birthday. Easy money. Oh, there's another one. Let's get him. Level up. What do we get? New skill mastered. You've mastered the giant swing. I don't even know what all these skills are. I need to check them out. I mean, I don't think I really need to, because slicing people off with the chainsaw seems to be working just fine. What time is it anyways? So like 6 a.m. So we got basically about 4 hours before the next quest happens, and then that's it. Dead Rising will be over pretty soon. So good. I was talking about Good and Evil. Donating to. Oh yeah, so society. Just because society deems it good or bad, like so, for example, donating to charity, does that necessarily mean it's good or evil? And again, like I know I keep saying this, but that's gonna come down to a matter of opinion and like, well, not yeah, I was gonna say preference, but no, it's just a matter of opinion. Like, so some people would say. And I've already said all my controversial examples, so you already know. But like, people are going to say different things about like what's good and what's evil, and like obviously it's going to come down to a very individual sense. And that's like the weird thing too about philosophy is basically everything I've said and what I've talked about. It all comes down to, oh well, it's just it's a matter of opinion, like depending like how you look at things. Oh, actually, yeah, we're gonna try and break this one. Why not? Don't really want the machine guns. It all comes down to a matter of opinion. Like, you know, some people might, well, and that's true for most things. Because, and the reason why, you know, I think it basically comes down to that is because we only have our own perceptions to view the world. I want, come on, break chainsaw. All right, get out of there. I've had enough of you. Like, we can only see the world through our own lenses. And what I mean by that is, like, me playing right now, I, like, see the world in my own ways, because, like, I'm me. Like, no one else is Frudgy. Like, Frudgy is Frudgy. Like, no one else is me. But likewise, I'm nobody else either. And, like, what do I mean by that is that I don't know what goes through your guys' head or what you see or what you experience. It's like when you're talking to someone and then you accidentally say something that hurts their feelings. Like, you might not be aware of that unless they tell you because you're not them. Like, you are you. Like, you might say something like, oh, or like, for example, like, hey, I'm going to call my buddy I'm going to call him a grocery bag because that's my sense of humor and I find that funny. Whereas, like, maybe he's had a set of experiences in his life where it's like, say, hey, being called a grocery bag is deeply offensive. Like, how could you say that to me? Like, you know, I can't believe you called me a grocery bag. Like, how could you? And it's like, well, gee, man, I didn't know. And that's the thing. It's a difference of opinions. Like, luckily, like, the world doesn't actually work like that. Like, so, like, what I'm suggesting is, like, oh, yeah, it's a difference of opinion there. Like, nothing's right or wrong. The world really doesn't work like that because if it did, you'd have people, like, you know, breaking into the store and doing stuff. Or, like, they'd be, like, they donated lots of money. And they say, oh, no, I can do this because it's just a matter of opinion anyways. Like, it doesn't, like, we don't know who's right or who's wrong, so, like, what's to stop us? And, like, and it honestly doesn't work like that. I mean, you go to, like, say, let's say if you go driving somewhere and you drive on the wrong side of the lane, like, they're going to pull you over and be like, hey, no, you can't do that. Like, so society has placed these laws in place, so that I think with the intention that we could function, more optimally as a community. And that's why they have these laws in place. Because, you know, if we didn't have these rules, then I would say that it might be, excuse me, a great chance of their, like, of it falling, like not, like, what I want to say here is, like, with no rules, I think there's, like, there's more freedom for interpretation, or there's more room to interpret it. How do I want to say this? Because without rules, there's no, well, there's no rules, there's no real guidelines for people to follow, so then it becomes kind of like a free-for-all, which is, like, that basically becomes anarchy. And, like, that's the thing, anarchy is basically just chaos, and chaos is, like, the opposite of, like, just, like, being lawful. And that's, I think it's something to keep in mind, too, is that just because it's, you know, it's, anarchy or chaos doesn't actually necessarily mean evil, and likewise lawful doesn't necessarily mean good. They're just different ways of looking at it. But I think society's put, you know, laws in place so that that hopefully we can function more optimally as a society. And, like, you know, how does this work? It's like, well, before I'd answer that question, I would actually ask, like, is there a society that exists that doesn't have rules? And if so, like, can we, like, observe them? And I don't know of a society without rules off the top of my head. Like, from my understanding, most societies have rules in some way, shape, or form, and they kind of dictate how we can and can't act. And I think, again, this is I want to stress this enough, or sorry, I can't stress this enough, is that everything I'm saying here, like, I'm just a guy playing a video game with a web camera. Like, don't put too much stock in my opinions, because I'm just saying stuff right now. So, like, does that, like, everything I've said, like, it's just an opinion of one person. Like, take it with a grain of salt. Like, I'm not, and that sounds pompous that I'm saying this, because it kind of implies that, oh, I think I'm such a cool dude that everyone's gonna take my opinion super seriously. And, I don't intend to come off as pompous. Sorry, I'm scratching my old nose because it's itchy. That's pompous right there. Real pompous. That's the sign of a real jerk right there when he scratches his nose and talks about stuff. That's evil. Hey, look at that. Great. I want more guys. So, what was I saying? It's like, it's my opinion. Yes, okay, so yeah, I can't stress enough. Like, I'm just saying stuff like this is like stuff like I find to be interesting. So like, I hope I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just trying to like have a fun conversation when I go around like slaying zombies and stuff. So the whole thing of like the laws of society, like, so they function better as rules. Like, I think at the very least, by having like laws in society, there's a general sense of knowing what to work sorry, I think what I want to say is, like, with having there being laws, I think there's a greater sense of unity among the people, because if we all have laws, we're all on the same page, and I think that makes us function more. I think we will function more like a well-oiled machine, to put it one way. Because, like, to go for example, if I say, oh, everyone thinks of their, like, everyone has a different opinion about, like, what's good and what's evil, so everyone acts on their own agenda. Like, I think it'd be utter madness. Like, how could anything get done? Like, people would just be like, yeah, well, like nothing would get done. Like, I might stab a guy because, like, oh, I believe this guy is evil because this is my belief, and I just kill him. And I was like, okay, well, no, we can't, like, do that. Like, we have to lock you away. But someone's like, well, locking people away is evil, and he shoots the other guy. I was like, what the heck's happening? Like, it could be like just a madhouse. Whereas if we have these rules in place, and that's why I say the general consensus, like, in the general, like, by having these rules, most people you talk to, there we go, level up, HP. So we don't actually need to come back here then. We'll come here just to farm some more dudes. If we, by having these rules, like, if you go out and ask a random person on the street, it's like, hey, is murdering okay? They're gonna, like, look at you as like, no, it's not. Like, that's just not okay. But that's the thing too. This is a bit of a tangent. But the other thing of having these rules is that, like, these rules change. Like, so back in the day, slavery was okay, whereas, like, now we're like, no, you can't do slavery. Slavery is just evil. Like, that's just not something we do. Where are you guys? I hear you. There you are. Hello. Like, slavery's not okay. Like, we just don't do slavery. Like, that's not who we are. But back in the day, that's absolutely okay. And then you're like, oh, geez, like, oh, gee, Rick, like, I don't know what's good and what's bad. And I think that's the takeaway. Like, we don't really, just because society is, like, made a law or whatever, doesn't necessarily mean it's good or evil. And that's the thing, like, society, like, changes its rules, like, not frequently, but there is change. Like, again, like, back to the 1800s, like, yeah, slavery was a thing. Whereas now, nope, we don't do slavery at all. Slavery is just not something we do whatsoever. Whereas, I'm gonna check my watch. Sorry, what is it? I can't tell time right now. It's 8. Okay, so in another couple of hours, we can do stuff. Yeah, there's less and less zombies now, I think. What was I saying about the laws and people and stuff? Yeah, okay, so by like the laws change or whatever, and I think what they changed towards, so I think as a species, the human race like tries to survive. Like survival is, I think, is a very natural instinct for many animals, and you know, including humans. I myself would say that humans are animals, but I know that some people don't think that way. That we're above animals. Again, that's another discussion for another time. But anyway, survival is a hardwired instinct into most living things. So, and I think the laws in society are pointed towards, by having them, we help our odds of survival. Because again, if we have everyone on the same page, we work as a well-oiled machine, or we can at least. We have the potential to have everyone on the same page. I think that's more conducive to survival than, say, everyone going out there and having a free-for-all. Because if we... Oh, he jumped. Hello. Got him. Zombie's gonna go down and get him. Might as well take the other chainsaw too while we're at it. So I think the laws are there to help our survival as a race. And again, like going back to the good and evil, is like, our survival necessarily a good thing or a bad thing? And most people be like, well, like in the terms of humanity, like from our perspective, it's probably a good thing. But then some people might say, well, no, humanity shouldn't strive to survive because, like, look what we've done to, like, Mother Nature. Like, if, like, as for the sake of the argument, let's just say that climate change is a real thing, and, like, we're adversely affecting the Earth. It's like, well, is it alright for the human race to survive at the cost of everything else on the Earth and, like, other species going to exist? Like, is that okay? And, like, from the human perspective, I think most people say, well, yeah, because, like, we're humans and we're interested in our own survival. You know, and I don't know if that's necessarily like a bad thing either, because like that's just how we see things. Like again, like, you know, if I consider my dogs, if they have the choice between themselves or a cat, they're going to choose themselves because like they're interested in their own well-being, not necessarily the cat's well-being. But like you would say, like, well, that's to be expected, right? Like the dogs aren't expected to be, you know, in it for everyone else. Sorry, man, my hoodie is. My sweater's getting hot. I'm gonna have to take this off. This could be our strip show, man. You guys are gonna love it. It's not necessarily right or wrong about, or like we'd expect the dog to act in their little weights, like to preserve their preserve themselves, and people would be like, yeah, that makes sense. And then it's like, well, why are humans a little bit different? Like, why do we? Because if you think about it, we do a lot of things that other animals don't do. Well, I gotta be careful about that. I don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think there's a lot of similarities between us and animals. I think what probably separates us from other creatures, though, is our mental capacity. So I think we have... Here, let's get rid of these guys. Get rid of these guys, jump up here, and I'm going to take this off. We have greater capacity for... or we have... Okay, to put this simply, we're smarter than other creatures. Like, we have greater mental capacity. Like, we've done all these things that, like, other animals can't do. Like, so, for example, we have this controller, which I'm playing the game with right now. And other animals don't have that. I mean, we also have opposable thumbs. That's pretty good, too. Okay, so they're eating them. Grab this, head out. So, we have, like, this, like, intelligence that other animals have. So, because of that, like, I think that allows us to ponder things in ways that haven't been... Whoa, okay, that was a train wreck of the sentence. Let me try this again. It allows us to think about things in many different ways. Like, we have a higher capacity for thought. And so that means, like, you know, we get these weird things about, hey, like, what does it mean to be good and evil? Like, we actually think about good and evil or stuff like, I mean, at least that's what I'm talking about. Or, like, free will. Like, do we actually have free will? Like, all these, like, seemingly abstract things. Or, like, we don't even have to go philosophy for here. Like, we... Good grief. we could consider things like toasters. Like we've made toasters, or no, not toasters. We want to go physics, like physics, mathematics, biology, chemistry. Like we have all these fields of science that are possible. Oh, all right. So we got be back at Isabella's within an hour. Elcod will be back soon. So I'll kill these guys, and then I'll probably head back. So once we level up, we will be on our way out. Alright, we can just leave now, I guess. Because we do only have 1 hour. So like we can think about, like, we have all these things that like are only possible because we have like this intellect or whatever. Where was I going with this? I'm talking about how humans are smarter than other animals, but I don't remember what the end goal was to this. So yeah, guys, we're smarter than other animals. We're just here to feel superior. Where was I going with this? So, oh yeah, obviously we have like the greater thought or whatever. Which changes our stock increase. Oh, that's really good. We got 15 minutes. So let's go back to the grocery store, grab some milk, and we'll be on our way. So we're able to create all these things that other animals like can't have. And like, we think about these abstract things like good and evil and stuff like that. Oh, and then because of that, we're able to have like these higher functioning societies. Let's say it, put it like that, where like we have like all these rules and stuff that other animals don't have. Like we say, hey, like in order to survive in our world, like or society, we should have like these rules that other animals would be like, yeah, sorry, I'm not interested in having that. Not interested in having that, but they just simply don't work like that. And I think because I don't really know where I'm going with this, I'm gonna say like this is where I'm gonna say like, so what's the difference between humans and animals? And again, like I don't want to offend anyone. Like, get this yogurt. And I think this is gonna be offensive anyways when I say like start talking about, oh, like how similar are we, like are humans different from animals or whatever. I would say like no, we're basically animals. Like we're animals with just a higher thought capacity. And it's like, okay, well, it's like, well, no, like, we have opposable thumbs, like, we have, like, all these rules and systems in place or whatever. Like, we have all these things that animals don't have, so clearly we're different. I'm like, I think my counter-argument to that would be that, no, I would say, like, all these things that we have, like, me playing a game right now with a controller in my hands, that's all a product of just our, like, a higher, you know, higher thought capacity. Like, and then, like, even then, it's like, okay, well, but that still makes us different from the animals. It's like, okay, but if your argument is like we're different from animals because we're smarter, my next question would be, where do we draw the line? Because like, so insects are magnitudes dumber than us. Like, you know, I don't think I would even jest about the fact that that insects are anywhere close to as smart as humans. Like, I don't think that's the stance that anyone would take. They'd just be like, oh no, that's just not true at all. But then, like, you consider something like a chimpanzee or whatever. It's like, that's actually, like, sure, yes, you'd say that like we're smarter, but like a chimp's not that far behind behind a human at all. It's like, but I think most people would say, that imps are. And people would say that I think most people would say that, yeah, I know, but chimps are animals, though. But it's like, okay, but they're only, like, they're only so far behind humans. Like, they're actually not that far at all. Yet we still consider them animals. Like, why is that? Like, where's, like, the benchmark for intelligence? Oh.
The military. They'll come, won't they? It's just like Santa Cabeza. The government wants to cover this up too.
Alright, so we got 10 minutes. Okay, so we'll run a couple laps. So, and that's like, you know, where do we draw the line for intelligence being the distinguishing factor between humans and other critters? It's like, well, for me, I don't see the. Like, I think say, well, we're just like basically chimps with a higher, like, you know, thought capacity. And other people say no. Or the other thing too is like, oh, we've created man-made things. It's like, well, like, creatures can use. We should probably. I don't know if I'll save here. I want to, but I don't think I'm going to. Just in case. Are they having it? Oh. Okay, yeah, they've finished cleaning up now. I think that's it. Alright, let's talk to her, see if she wants to come with us. Don't worry about me, save yourself. Okay. So basically all we need to do now is be back at the airport at 12. And that'll be all she wrote. Okay, so and that's the whole thing about the whole chimps and animals thing is, or humans animals. Like, basically, I think it comes down to I think we are animals. Some people disagree. Whether or not, I don't think they're invalid in saying that no, that we're not animals. Or sorry, yeah, that we're not animals. I just, you know, I think there's two ways about it. I'm gonna, you know, drop that line of thought though, and I'm gonna talk about what's happening right now because I think there's enough happening in the game that it warrants, you know, my attention again. So basically, everything's dead and everyone's like now the mall is like truly lonely. All these dead zombies. There's no more military there either, I don't think. There's a rock here. Can we throw it? How far can we throw this rock? Not very far. One thing I want to talk about too is, so I've noticed in most zombie movies, police and military are like near worthless. Like they can't do anything, which is part of the reason why Dead Rising is interesting to me, is because like they're super competent at their job. Like, yeah, sure, some full journalists came around and started like sawing all of them up, but then he just trailed off. But I mean, that's just the game, right? But like, say like Frank wasn't here, like they still got their job done. They killed everything. Like they were like, and like they, you know, I think they did things that made a lot of sense. Like, so they start out from the high areas, they shot the zombies in nearby, and then they, you know, came down. Like they seemed like they were effective at what they were doing. Do we get this PB sticker? Let's try and get it.
Fantastic.
Great. Well, let's get some batteries too while I'm thinking about it. Well, how much time do we got left? So it's like 10:30 right now. So we have like basically an hour and a half to wander around. So I'm gonna try and think about some interesting things to talk about. Such as, okay, cool. We got the batteries. Do these guys count for pictures? I don't think it really matters. Yeah. So it's like 10:30 right now. Like in game time. Right now, it's not even close to 10:30. Well, I mean, whatever. But yeah, the military is like, and police are always like terrible at their jobs. And I think part of the reason why they do that though is because if you had like a book series or TV show or something else where the police and the military were very competent, then I think you would have a very short zombie film or whatever because like, oh, it's a zombie outbreak, but it's like, well, no, the police and the military got contained pretty quickly. If they acted like the way that they did in here, then it's like, oh, we wouldn't really have a story to tell. Yeah, zombies exist, but then what the heck is that? Is that a bunch of...
Hello?
Oh, those are trees. I was like, oh, is that military personnel? Interesting. But yeah, like, you just wouldn't have a show at all because it'd be like, well, sorry, I'm like too busy looking around, man. Like, this is the time where it's like, because I have nothing else to do, I might as well. We're going back to the rooftop though. They're at the helipad at least. Like, you wouldn't have a show at all because it'd be like, oh yeah, like The Walking Dead, like zombies. It's like, well, no, the military cleaned everything up. Like, there wasn't really a big deal. Is Jesse gone too? Jesse's gone. Alright, well, I'm gonna save here anyways. Is there any point to saving? I think we got the best ending. Yeah, we should be able to get... Well, I won't say anything because it'll be pretty apparent soon enough. This is good too. I mean, in one sense it sucks because there's nothing else for you guys to really enjoy because... I'm here just walking around now. Like, that's not super exciting at all. Like, look at this. Look at the, like, me interacting with the environment here. It's like, ah, okay. Good times. Yeah. It's interesting, though. Again, so about, like, you know, I wonder if I can get up there. Man, this like, the capacity for thought from my end, which is funny considering how we were talking about thought capacity, just sputtered. Oh, hello. Perfect. Oh, can we even get up from there? Not really important. Got a nice view of the mountains there. Got our chainsaw. Oh, this good stuff. So what level are we? I think we're level 41, which is a pretty decent level, I would say. That looks like to be a school. Some buildings and trees. This is a very nice game. Frank's floating right now. We won't worry too much about that. So, and the other thing too is like, okay, so like for most like films, like the military and police are like very incompetent at their jobs, like they get overwhelmed by zombies. Sometimes they just say, oh, because they've never faced zombies before. But I've read like here, like in real life, that police and military like do like go through theoretical exercises of like say like zombies or whatever. Not because they think zombies are like legitimately something that could happen, but they do that just so like they get a... Oh, that's the entrance plaza. Oh, neato. They do it so like you know, just so it's like they can it helps their ability to like, you know, create plans on the fly or whatever. It's a mind, basically it's a mind teaser. Oops, it's a mind teaser. Lets them think about things. So like I don't think in real life, like say if zombies did exist, like say like these zombies, I don't think they would be. I don't think our police and military would do as bad as say they typically do in works of fiction. However, in here it's like, well, how come the special forces were like so good at their job? I think basically the short answer is because they were the antagonists. Oops, took some damage. Basically, the short answer I think is because like they were the antagonists. So, and because they were antagonistic, like they were expected to be, like they're the force that works against you. So them being good at their job makes the game more difficult because like if they were the protagonists, like if they're like to help you, like they saw the survivors, like okay, yeah, cool, we're just gonna like, you know, help these survivors. Then basically all what would happen as soon as like the special forces show up, it's like that's not what I meant to do. So we got what, a few more minutes left. Basically, if the special forces show up, then you know the game would be over because they bop up for you, big. Oh, great. And so from the gameplay perspective, I definitely understand the fact that yeah, they you know they're gonna be well, if they're good at their job, they're gonna be very sorry, not very they're gonna be antagonistic because that will make the game more challenging. Like you saw, like yeah, I was eating a lot of hits from the zombies, but you know, fighting those guys, it was just I was getting chewed up. Like I was taking a lot of damage. Like, the only reason why I was okay because I was level like 40 or so. Like I was a very high level, so like, it wasn't really a big problem. Like you know, getting to like just fighting through them because like I was just that strong with Frank. Like if I was a level like 5 Frank or whatever, like they would have killed me easily. Like it would have been disgusting. It would have been Hulk smashery. Whereas in, like I think in other games too, like having like if you had to save those guys like on your team, they would have been like they wouldn't make them like that good. They make them like pushovers. They make them like the survivors. Like yes, the survivors were on my side, but they were like they're pathetic. I couldn't trust them to do anything. Which is why I understand the motivation for making the Special Force ops, stronger. Which I also thought was interesting too, because they're trying to cover it up. Blah blah blah. I could go on about how much I liked this first Sid Rising, but I mean, I guess now's the time to do it because we're waiting around for the helicopter. I mean, we only have 20 minutes left to kill, so I got top for 20 minutes in game time, which I think that allots to about. I see, because like 72 hours game. I think 12 hours is 2 our time. It's 1 to 6. I think this game's either 6 times faster than real time or 12 times faster than real time. So, doing the math for how much time we have left. Sorry, I'm looking at my feed and I noticed that my camera's display isn't quite to the quite where I want it to be. Oh, and I can't set it right now. I need to center that when I'm done. Because I want it to be at the very edge. Oh, there's like that pixel. Man, you guys... Oh, I should have pulled it out because now you guys are looking at it. Oh, dear. Good grief. Is this a PP sticker? No. Oh, is Frank always floating? Yeah, it looks like he is. How about that? Yeah, I think that's floating right there. Huh. We've all been lied to. Any other conversation? Let's see, the problem is like now. Oh, here we go.
I'll be damned. He's still alive. That son of a bitch made it. That must mean he got his scoop. I can't wait to get my share of the take. Woo! Yeah! All right. You just hang tight, buddy. I'm on my way. Huh?
Hey! 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 I'm over here!
I see you, buddy! I see you! Yeah! I'm on my way! Yeah! Yeah, you did it! You did it! Yeah! Yeah!
How's that for an ending? Wow. So, that was actually the best ending for this game. Well, okay, so I've unlocked what they call overtime, which is like what happens after this, which I fully intend to do. But yeah, that'll be next episode, and you know, whatever. I'll say like, oh, once I'm done that, I'll be like, oh, thanks for watching me play Dead Rising. It was a really heartfelt experience. I really grew as an individual while I played it. Thank you all for supporting me in my endeavors. But anyways, that being said, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys for overtime mode. The game isn't over yet.